All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmy Lee Velez. I'm here with Gabe, Heck, Goose, and Julius. Noble Nation. In this episode, we have special guest Julius Twyman, owner of Noble Nation. We cover topics that range from entrepreneurship, active/combat gear, the MMA industry, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Hope Hicks and Anderson Silva. Guys, if you're new, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to download and subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. Kicking things off, my guy, welcome, Julius. Welcome to the Rotated Views podcast, man. I appreciate you showing up.
Oh, thank you you guys for having me. I hope we don't regret this. Thanks for asking me to be on here with you.
Absolutely. So Noble Nation, man, just for those of us who do not know, just explain who you are and what you do.
All right, well, my name is Julius Twyman, and I'm the creative mind behind Noble Nation.
Nice.
And Noble Nation is currently still like a work in progress at the moment, but my intent for it was to be an active life brand. So like I helped my friend, you might know him, in the area. He opened up a boxing gym, and I was always there, and I was actually starting my own clothing line, like a regular clothing line.
Okay.
And it kind of clicked when I was helping him one day. I spend 90% of my time in like fitness clothes. So
Right.
why am I doing a regular clothing brand when no one will ever see it? So I decided to actually change that over to fitness and, you know, training type of gear or whatever. And it just kind of grew legs and started walking on its own at that point.
Nice.
Things started to snowball for me. So
Nice.
That's
Awesome. All right, so you, how did you get started though in, you know, training with Jose? So we actually had Jose Tilapa on our podcast, Keystone Boxing and MMA. And did you just get started when he opened up his gym, or were you doing any mixed martial arts prior to that?
I was not doing any mixed martial arts prior to that. I actually, this is funny going back, but I actually thought that watching MMA and things like that was just insane. I was not interested in it at all.
Yeah.
Because my ignorance to it was these are just two guys beating the crap out of each other.
Right.
And you see this everywhere out on the streets, or so I thought.
Right.
And then Jose and I became friends,
Okay.
and I looked at him one day. I will never forget this. I looked at him and I said, "You fight, don't you?" And he's like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" I was like, "Your ears." Like,
Yeah.
Cauliflower ears.
Yeah, I was like, "Well, what do you do?" And he told me he boxed and he did cage fighting, and I'm actually a tennis pro.
Right.
So I said, "You teach me how to box, and I'll teach you how to play tennis." So
That's awesome.
that was like the
Nice.
beginning.
What a mix-up of a world. Holy smokes.
That was the beginning of our friendship. So like
Okay.
after hanging out, he was showing me how to box, and all his videos. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's
man.
bad.
Yeah,
But he
yeah.
was like, "Yeah, you know how happy he is." He still
Yeah.
cheering me. I'm like, "Yeah, you got it." I look back like I did not have it. Yeah.
That's hysterical. So, all right, so back up a little bit. So you are an athlete, obviously.
Yeah.
You're a tennis pro. So this is why you were saying initially that you're always in athletic gear, or you're saying more because of the training that you're doing in Jose's gym?
No, because of tennis as well.
Okay.
Like I wake up some days 6 a.m. to be at the club by 7, and I'm in sort of what you see me in now, maybe
Yeah.
shorts in the summertime.
Yeah.
And then after that, I would go and, you know, hang out with Jose and deal with Jose at the gym. And guess what? I'm still not in jeans and
Right,
a regular
right.
shirt. So
Gotcha.
most of my time was definitely in athletic gear.
Gotcha. And so that's why you basically started Noble Nation. Explain to everyone who doesn't know what combat or active gear is. Explain specifically what Noble Nation sells.
Okay, so being in the gym, I wanted something that the fighters and the jiu-jitsu guys and the boxers and the MMA guys could actually wear and train in.
Yeah.
And noticing that I spend most of my time at another gym, which is tennis, it's part gym there too.
Yeah.
I wanted something that people there could also wear. So
Okay.
I didn't initially want to be a combat brand.
Yeah.
But earlier when I said it kind of grew its own legs and went its own direction, that's kind of what happened. Like I wanted to be a training brand.
Yeah.
Sort of like an Under Armour or something of that nature.
Got
and
it.
a professional MMA fighter came by Jose's gym, was training with him. And because Jose's actually pretty good at that too. He's a pretty solid fighter himself.
Yeah.
But he was training with Jose, and the kid seen the shirt that I had on and was like, yo, I like this a lot. I'll wear this out in my next fight if you want. And I was like, sure. And that moment, it just started snowballing, and everyone kept associating it with MMA and jiu-jitsu. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I had an idea, and it went another way. So
Yeah. Dang, that's awesome. And so I follow you on social media, and when we first actually met you was at Jose's gym doing the podcast for Jose, and you had this really cool jacket. I don't know if you want to explain the jacket or if it's a one of one, but it had like white leather arms, some real cool writing on it, and you have a unique your design seems to have some level of symbolism. Is that true or?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
I think, well, for everyone that knows me outside of like athletics and stuff, I'm known as like the artist, you know.
Okay.
That's what I do. I don't really go a week or something without sketching or drawing or coming up with something. So I knew that when I put the logo together for this, I wanted to hide some things in there and it has some things.
Double meaning things?
Yeah, so the logo itself is actually 2 letter N's. One is forward and then one is flipped backwards.
Right on.
And then I wanted a memory of how I got the name or the idea of how to get the logo and the company together.
Yeah.
So I kind of hit another symbol in there, and everyone thinks this is the Omega symbol.
That's what I thought it was too.
Well, no, it looks like that now.
Yeah.
But it's actually the Shen symbol, which is the top of the Egyptian cross. I had to separate where it connected at. Because of buttons and zippers and everything that goes on with hoodies.
That makes sense.
So I was like, I don't want to keep trying to draw over a zipper.
Yeah.
So I just removed it. But that stands for like eternity and like everything like that. So,
absolutely.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's cool as hell. So I did see you just, you came out with and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if it was new or not. It seemed to be like a new release of the diagonal line. Yeah. Can you explain a little bit about that?
All right, so that's unique. We're going to go into a whole rabbit hole here.
That's good.
Because
we love rabbit holes at the Rotated Views podcast.
Oh, all right. Well, the whole thing about me sponsoring fighters, when a fighter wants to become a part of this, I don't usually like pay them cash out of my hand. I kind of, whatever I sell that has your logo or your branding on it, you make money from. Like, you get a certain percentage for that.
Okay.
And one of my newest fighters, I think he's number 5 of 6. He said, he's like, my name is Taino Warrior, so I need a logo. You know, so I kind of come up with a logo for these guys or whatever, and every time I print for them, I throw it on there. If they want to sell an item, I'll just stamp their logo on something that I made for their friends or family. But every fighter sort of has their own branding under Noble Nation. Okay. I tell them, like, you don't work for Noble Nation. You're not like a poster child for Noble Nation. You kind of work with us. You're part of this whole entire engine. Okay. So, nice. Yeah, no, so we're Puerto Rican. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, wait a minute, what kind of line is that? That's awesome. So what made you have 2 separate lines, the ACG and the MMA, and can you explain each? Okay, so ACG, I actually slapped that on there not too long ago. I put that on there because originally I just had Noble Nation. Okay. But apparently there's a Christian or religious group that has like Noble Nation something or another. And then there's like a musical band in Australia or something of the sort that was Noble Nation. And I still wasn't, putting any extra on there. But some guy contacted me on Instagram and was like, what is Noble Nation? Is it MMA? Is it this? Is it that? He was telling me some story about like how he and his wife were talking about my logo and my design for weeks, and he finally decided to reach out to me, but he wasn't sure what the brand was because it just said Noble Nation. So I put ACG on the end to separate from the other Noble Nations, and when people ask what it is, it's like athletics and combat gear. Yeah. And that's just something I came up with on the spot. I don't know if I'm going to stick with it, but right now it's just kind of there. Okay. And MMA is the second Instagram page. Yeah. And I did that for all the fighters. I wanted them to have a page where they seen that I was promoting them and, keeping up with them, and anything I released under their name, I would kind of put there as well. Okay. So it was a place for their family and friends to go and see them specifically. Yeah. Instead of like weaving through all of the clothing I was putting up, trying to find a picture of, someone they know. So how did you decide on the materials and the companies that you're using to then print your logos and your brand on? So funny thing is, mostly everything you've seen from the jacket to the entire get up I'm wearing now, I did it.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I did in my apartment. I was
Nice.
sewing machine, heat press, the whole nine.
Nice.
Oh, wow. Like, I didn't like the way the pants fit. I had to go inside and like cut them, and yeah.
Nice.
So
I like it.
That's kind of where it started from. Now I do get things manufactured in other countries.
Okay.
Like small batches of things. But
Yeah.
if I can make it, then I'm like, I'm saving that money.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to do it myself.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool as hell. So is this something where, I know you said you just started, but is it something where you do want to manage both lines, or is it kind of, are they going to take their own path to, specifically what they were? And did it really come from that conversation? So a guy reached out to you and now you're like, okay, this really needs to be its own separate line.
Yeah, I didn't want it to get like muffled in with everything else. And
Yeah.
sometimes like that's something really important as a brand or a business to stick out amongst the crowd.
Sure.
A lot of times we can go, oh, this worked for other people, and we copy, or we, follow suit, and we kind of blend in too much.
Yeah.
And I'm not in the business of blending in.
Yeah.
And as much of a, like, I don't know if recluse is the right word, but like I'm
Sure.
such a to myself, held back type of person.
Sure.
Like this isn't the business for that, and I know it.
Yeah,
so I kind of
yeah.
got to be like, you know what? Separate yourself, stick out a little bit, add the ACG. If you want to change it later on, change it later on.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't think it was going to take off this way. It's kind of hard for me to give you a definite answer of will I manage both lines separately.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully later on, if it's up to me, I'll be able to have it all.
Yeah.
I thought I was coming out with a training brand for any type of athlete, and then it went to combat sports unknowingly.
So part of the things that we constantly talk about, whether it's, in separate conversations with my brothers and my friend or here on the podcast, is setting goals, achieving them, and kind of taking one day at a time. One of the biggest things is making adjustments along the way, right? And it seems like you're very flexible with making those appropriate adjustments, meaning I should add the ACG. It should be MMA. This was going to be an athletic gear or brand. What drives those decisions? Is it the outside energies? Is it intuition? Is it kind of a combination of both? People give you suggestions and then you kind of feel some. Do you meditate about it? I mean, because you're making big decisions on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Someone tell you I meditate a lot, because I do meditate a lot.
Okay.
But no, that wasn't it. I'm a huge person on things coming together organically, or smoothly.
Yeah.
I don't like things to feel forced.
Yeah.
So I don't want to sit down and be like, oh, I got to change it. Something has to come up. Like the way it came about, someone else reached out to me. It was natural. It kind of just flowed. And one of my biggest fears of making decisions before was I felt that everything was permanent. Like once it's done, it's done. I can't take it back. And then I kind of stepped back and gave myself the room to go, you know what? Change it later if you don't like it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
Like I actually changed the name of the company. Most people didn't know that.
Right.
The first name was Noble Natives.
Okay.
And I love that. Like I thought that was the one. Like, thank goodness I didn't get that tattooed across my face.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So how did that change? Because Noble Native sounds dope too.
Yeah, I was doing some research, and there's a store. Shout out to this store in Kansas City or wherever you may be. But there's like a consignment shop called Noble Native.
Okay.
And I was like, oh God. I am not trying to get into that. And one of my friends is a lawyer, and he was like, just avoid all of it and change it. So I was like, what am I going to change this name to? I have hundreds of items printed with, this, and I had 100 logos still sitting around the apartment. So I said, I got to keep the letters the same.
Yeah.
And then it clicked. Shout out to my dad here. But for some reason, all the older, like, black men in my life, like all these influences around me, every time they tried to say Noble Natives, they all said, oh, that Noble Nation thing. And I was like, no, Noble Natives. So when I had to change it, I was like, oh, this is easy.
Make it easy for them. Noble Nation. Never saying it.
Everyone jacking the name up.
Just change a couple letters at the end.
Yeah.
And it was like, boop, it worked. So I was with it.
That's awesome. And so you have a couple taglines that I want to ask you about. When you say join the nobility, what does that mean to you? And then what do you want that to mean to others?
Okay. Join the nobility is actually, it'll make more sense if you know the way I functioned when I first was selling shirts.
Okay.
When I was selling shirts originally, everyone that bought a shirt, I would ask them immediately, can I take a picture with you?
Yeah.
I would kind of reverse the roles. They kind of thought it was like, oh, I know the guy that made this brand and I got a shirt. But instead of them being excited to know me, I was excited that they even invested in what I did.
Absolutely.
So I would take a picture with them and I would upload it to all my social media and I would tag them in it and kind of reverse the celebrity in the moment.
Absolutely.
And I wanted them to feel like they were part of this brand or this family. So when I say join the nobility, it's kind of like join this family.
Absolutely.
You know, like become part of us and what we do. So you might not actually be a fighter, but you could still be part of what we do, you know, by buying the gear, you know, supporting any way you can.
Absolutely. That's amazing because that's literally how I started the Blessed Lifestyle brand. You have to think outside the box. We always talk about having an edge. How are you going to have an edge? I wanted to do. I didn't have a lot of marketing dollars, right? And well, first of all, when you're first starting out, especially if it's just you, it's hard enough just to get the materials, just enough to get everything kicked off. Let alone, oh, do you have a marketing budget? No, not at all. I am not. But I knew we needed to do something, and so we kind of did the same thing where I was actually just giving shirts out and asking if you like the shirt, just post it on social media and tag me in it. And then I was getting that and then also tagging them on mine. So I was getting double exposure. So their gift back to me was just taking a picture of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the same approach and it worked. And I'm like, yes, it's working. To the point where you see everyone here is wearing Blessed and we show up and people think it's called the Blessed podcast.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Remember?
I
said, "Oh, we about to talk about God." And he said, "I mean, we can if you want." I was like, "Oh, okay. Whatever you want."
That's a true story. So the lifestyle brand, our lifestyle brand, is a sponsor of the podcast. So we have it everywhere, and obviously, these guys are my brothers and number one supporters, so they're always rocking it. But it was funny because you're not the first person who thought that. People were introducing me. Yeah, he's a guy from the Blessed Lifestyle podcast, and I'm like, it's not a podcast.
That's what I told my friend. I'm going to be on this blessed podcast.
I'm gonna be blessed on the way out.
You probably like, yo, can you pray for me too?
What's crazy is we're gonna change this. I was driving today, and on the highway, it's the best. I think it's the best. It's kind of like a reset, you know, because leaving the house, there's a lot going on. You know, headed into the work, the job, is a lot going on. But in the car, I'm like, boom, I can shut it all off. Yeah, and all you hear is the road or whatever. And I was thinking, I'm like, man, what if we did combine it, called like the Blessed Views? So it's funny that we, bringing it back, but in retrospect, I think it's a great marketing strategy for someone just to get out there. And you're right, people they're gonna feel like family if you're posting, especially if you're, number one, you're taking pictures with them, but you're posting it on your social media handles. And social media is so powerful now. It gives you a status that maybe you don't necessarily have, but it makes you look like you have. So it's a very powerful tool. You have another tagline where it says "Respect the bloodline." That has to be one of the toughest taglines I've ever seen. I love that.
Oh, I'm glad you love it. I actually stopped using it. Let me get it back.
Really? Thank you. I'll take that. The blessed bloodline.
So when the brand was originally Noble Natives, like the whole idea of
that makes sense. I got you.
The idea of the bloodline, of like where you come from and what you do. And I think it was all a play off of words on growing up. I often heard people say, "Oh, I'm cut from a different cloth." And, you hear people say this type of stuff. Well, it's a different play on that type of a deal. I'm a different breed and all this type of stuff. So that's what that kind of originated from.
Gotcha.
But I'm taking that back. No, you can't have it.
That's too funny. So obviously you're into combat sports. You're active in it yourself. Is it something that you watch? Is it something that you try to get involved in? Like you go to events to get obviously your brand out there, or is it like something you actually enjoy? Like me and my brothers, we actually love watching the UFC, MMA, boxing, whatever. We love all of that stuff. Like genuinely every Saturday or Friday we're watching this stuff. Is it something you partake in as well, or is it just kind of your lifestyle.
No,
that just kinda led into that?
definitely. Well, let me get one thing out there. I am not one of the fighters that I sponsor.
Yeah.
I hang around a lot of killers. I hang
Gotcha.
around a lot of savages.
Nice.
Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't run up on me now.
Yeah.
Put it that way. But
It's an incredible backhand. No, I'm kidding.
You're right. No, at the gym, like with Jose, he even vouched for me. Like I would go in there and I would hit on the bags for hours.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I would go into the ring and spar with people. Not so much because I wanted to become a boxer or a fighter. I wanted to experience it.
Yeah.
And I think as a man, we all question when things get to that point, am I going to fight or am I going to run? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Right.
And, we can kind of lie and convince ourselves like, oh, when things go down, I'm going to be there. But when things really go down and you're in that ring and you're surrounded by 40 people watching you, you just get clocked.
Yeah.
And you don't hear anything for 2 seconds. Like, what do you do? Do
Right.
you panic or do you just, fight? You figure it out. So I think I kind of got addicted to this idea, like, oh, I'm not a pushover. I got punched in the mouth and I came right back.
A little confidence builder.
A little confidence builder. And being around the fighters, me and a lot of these fighters build relationships.
Yeah.
And understanding what they go through, training and watching them spar and fight, and dealing with them, like I just have a totally different view from the one earlier I told you when I thought it was just savages beating each other up.
Right.
I now see the art and the skill behind it. So I'm definitely, I'm into this sport. I watch almost every UFC that I possibly can.
Yeah.
I'm now watching all the other ones, the One Championships. I watch the Bellator.
One Championships, Bellator. Yeah.
There's there's a lot of them out there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, UFC
Crazy
is
looking
losing some
belts, man.
people. Yeah. I just want to. Is it bad if I get a belt made? Just to have it, just to walk around with the belt.
Custom belt. That'd be crazy. It just but you gotta go in on it. You know what I mean? It don't have to be like bedazzled or anything, but the details got to be there. There's these famous Instagram guys.
Oh, I got logos for days.
Okay, all right, then you're good to go.
Fighters, I could put their logo on there, but I actually have 2 logos that I function under. The one you see here,
okay,
the 2 ends in the symbol, but I also have one with a lion. Okay, that obviously I don't have anything with me on it, but if you look. I shouldn't say this. This was like a hidden thing. Remember earlier I said I like to hide things? Yeah. This one isn't so hidden, but if you look in the crown of the lion, it's the logo in there. So people won't get confused and think it's another brand. Okay. Because I was using them back and forth. I drew this logo for another company. And they was like, nah, we don't want it. I was like, are you serious? This thing is amazing. Yeah. So then I just randomly go and print it on something that I had, but I edited it and put the little logo on the crown. I was like, whatever, I'll make a one and done. Yeah. And everyone started asking about that one. I was like, oh, this is for the MMA fighters? Yeah. Apparently, we now have an animal, you guys. Yeah. Them choosing lion's not my favorite animal, but now it's a part of our brand.
Yeah.
But stuff you never know what takes off.
Yeah, you never. That's true. You never know. Like I print a lot of black on black, and people are like, "Why would you do that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I love the color black. Usually, not now. I'm usually in all black all the time." Yeah. And so I was like, I'm gonna just print all the shirts that I make for myself, just black on black, and keep it simple. And I wore black on black to the gym, and everybody was on it. Like, can I get a black on black? I'm like, this makes no sense. Yeah. I do all this crazy stuff for you guys, and you want this one?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's normally how it happens. That's funny though. You said the whole lion thing because look, I'll show you. It's in my phone already. But I was looking for these guys knows we're doing like secondary. There goes the lions. See the little lion. Well, I was just taking pictures off because I wanted to do a secondary logo.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you're saying you're kind of going back and forth and intertwining them. That wasn't the secondary logo. That was. I'm going to put something together that says Born to Win with a lion in it. It's not my logo. It was just a T-shirt design. Yeah. But with the secondary logo, I was telling these guys, it's like mine was a B, and a B inside like of a triangle. But it's funny because it has all this triple, double meaning that is like, I'm not even going to explain. Like if someone figures it out, I'll let them figure it out.
Yeah.
You get there's something t-shirt. Cool about, you get a free T-shirt. We're doing giveaways. If you can break this down, you get a free T-shirt. Not that it's overly complex, but I think there's something about that. I think there's something about just us as humans where if someone can understand everything about you and know exactly who you are by just 5-minute conversation. I feel like that's odd. I feel like we should be a little bit more deeper than that.
Yeah.
Less superficial.
Sure.
And that's why I love having conversations like this on the podcast, or just one-on-ones, or even just like when I sent you the itinerary, you're like, oh, you guys did some research.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I was
so
I
I'm
forgot
like,
about this.
so I'm into like, I want to get to know the person behind the business.
Yeah.
So I want to see what makes them drive. So my question is, when you first start out, what keeps you going when it doesn't seem like, all right, I don't know if this is going to take off? Like when you first had, I guess the guts to start it, and then you're, I don't know whether you got positive or negative feedback, but what makes you go back every single day to keep it going?
It's funny you asked that, because I think I was listening to one of your podcasts earlier, and I'm not sure which one it was.
Yeah.
But I also say this often, like in the beginning, everything's always fun. It's bright. It is exciting.
Yeah.
It's the beginning, the ideas, everything is going, and there's a lot of times your friends are excited with you, but then you get to see the work ahead, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you know what? You start thinking about the end goal again, and you're like, you know what? All right, it's worth it. It's worth it. Then you start doing it. And then all of a sudden, it's not just the things you see that are in your way. It's these things you don't see that are in your way.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's like, geez. And
Yeah.
do I really like, no lie, I probably question this at least twice a month.
Yeah.
I probably questioned it 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Like, is this what I want to do? And then
Sure.
it's funny, I get a phone call from one of my fighters who moved to LA. By the way, shout out to all my fighters in case you're listening.
Yeah.
Well, this one out in LA, his name is Will Elliott.
Okay.
His fight name is Yodi. He moved out there, and he's training with some solid coaching, some solid coaches out there, and that's the reason he moved out there. But he called me and just started talking to me about the brand and stuff. He was the first fighter that wore the brand out for me in the fight, and he reached back out and was just talking. I got a fighter that fights on UFC. Well, actually, I have about 4 of them now. They all fight on UFC Fight Passes a lot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so like he called me up and was like, "Hey, what's up? What's going on? Got a fight coming?" They're like checking in with me and making sure that everything's good. Yeah. And I'm like, this is now bigger than me. Yeah. Like, it's become bigger than me and my momentary like emotions.
Yeah.
Like, get out of your feelings, Julius, and realize that, I also went to like a family reunion, and to see my family members run up to me, because they don't get to see me. The thing you said about social media, where people see this image of you, but it's not really you. It's just your highlight reel.
Right. Sure.
Like, they come up to you and like, oh, what's up? And they're asking me questions about the brand, and they want to start their own brand, and they're treating me like, not just like their cousin, but they're treating me like this guy that's made it. And I'm like, what? Yeah. And I had to like take a step back. And this is one thing that I definitely learned about myself. Like, being so by myself in my head meditating, is sometimes I have to sit myself down and go, this is bigger than you. Yeah. Or like, calm yourself down, stop hating. That's it. You're being shady right now. And I'll sit myself down and remove myself from the situation and look at it from an objective point of view. Yeah. And that's awesome. Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's and it's interesting that you say that, because with the branding and coming out with your own little business and just starting out, and you go through all these, like you said, all these humps, you could be having a bad day. It's like right now, I'm coming in, I'm like, dang, what's my next step? What's my next move? And then you do have those doubts, those doubtful thoughts, and you're like, wait a minute, this is meant to be. I know this is my thing, right? Yeah. And then you walk into a room, and then people have you see your logo on someone. Oh man, is there anything better and like more gratifying?
Man, there's been a few moments like this, and I keep telling myself like that's God, like going to Julius, no, stay in line. I'm telling you, it's not fun, but just stay there. Yeah. Like, I remember one day I was down in Bristol just walking. I always go down by the water, walk, and then go through the town. And I'm literally questioning, this is early on too, like, man, this is becoming a lot more work. It's just me still. Like, no one's, like, every hole on these designs, I got to pop out with a little pin, and I'm doing hundreds and hundreds of shirts, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Like, no one's really paying attention to it. And I'm walking down the street as I'm having these thoughts to, like, clear my head. And I look up, and the person in front of me is wearing a Noble Nation shirt. And I was like, what is the chances of this?
Wow. That is awesome.
Yeah. And then the fight with the first fighter, when I went there, I haven't spoken to him for like 2 weeks before the fight. 3 weeks, I'm like, oh, he forgot. But I'm still going to go to this fight to support him because he always said it. So I go to the fight, and like the pyrotechnics go off and everything. This music drops, and he walks out, and all you see is like the white Noble Nation shirt with the black logo on it.
Nice.
And it just lights up when he walks out, and I like lose my mind. Like, oh, he wore the shirt. Like going from that first feeling of seeing that, like seeing that guy walking down the street, to now, like I'll go to Atlantic City to like a huge MMA fight, and it's literally 40, 50 people in a crowd with Noble Nation shirts on, matching the fighter who comes out in like full Noble Nation garbs and everything. There's always that moment of like, this was an idea.
Yeah.
Like this is weird for a thought to turn so tangible. And like you see it. So I just try to, remain in those moments.
Yeah, for sure. So when you're running your business, is this something that you still do everything in-house? Like I know you said some bulk orders that you will send out. How I figured when I went on your website, you use Shopify, I believe.
Yes.
So how did you decide on Shopify, and then why?
Something else I learned was to admit where you're not strong at.
Yeah.
Sometimes people like to fake things.
Yeah.
I'm not a computer genius.
Yeah.
By any means. Like there's people out there building websites. I'm sure if I took a little bit of time I could get it, but Shopify pretty much had it set up for me.
Yeah.
This sounds like a sponsorship for them, so if they hear this, I want that money. I'm sitting here plugging them, but it's pretty much set up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a website that's already set up.
It's like click and drag. Put your photos here, and I mean, there's some learning curve there, but it was really easy, and they took care of a lot of things. They start your own newsletter, and they keep record of everything for you. Yeah. So that's pretty much the reason I went that direction with it.
Yeah, that's cool. So are you thinking about getting your own, doing your own, or you're going to kind of see where the Shopify thing takes you? Because they take like a percentage, right? Is that how it works? Okay.
So you pay them monthly for the website.
Okay, got it.
And there is this random charge that
that bothers you?
I never.
That's the energy you need to release.
Page off right now.
It's been on his mind all day. There is this one charge. He's like, start looking around.
Yeah, no, there's this random charge, and it's like you pay for the item, and most of it doesn't have taxes because it's closed.
Yeah.
But then it's always like this small dollar something fee added on, and I'm like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
But I think they just pocketing that money right there.
Little processing fee right there.
Yeah, they're making up some stuff right there. This is all automated processing fee.
Yeah.
All right.
Processing. What are you processing?
Yeah. I remember I returned some. I forget what it was. And they're talking about processing fee and a shelving fee.
Oh,
I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Man,
Wow.
what were you processing?
I should
And
be
then what are you
charging so
That's a
much
rip-off.
more. Jesus.
Well, the one time it was I bought something for $30, and then there was a return fee of $35. I was like, shh. I'm gonna keep it. I'm like, what the heck? I'm gonna give them money and not have the product. I'm like, I'll keep it and break it at that point. You know? It's like, don't make no sense.
You paid them to take it back.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what you get. Don't be returning my stuff.
But you asked something earlier. I'm sorry that I completely skipped over.
That's okay.
You were asking about, am I into like watching it and going to it and all that?
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. There's nothing like going to a UFC fight. There's one coming up in in Philly, but I won't be going because
Fargo,
I'm having my own event.
Yeah?
And, at the gym around the corner. I was going to invite you guys to it. So
Nice.
March 30th.
Nice.
Come on over to Keystone Boxing.
I like it.
It's like 7 to 9. Probably an after party. I don't know.
Okay.
Anything we do is just a bunch of friends and people together. So it ends up like a
Right.
it never ended type deal. But
So explain the event. So it's going to be at Keystone Boxing and MMA here in Bristol, PA. Explain from 7 to 9 March
30th.
March 30th. That's a Saturday.
Yes.
All right. And explain the event. Is it like a showcase? Kind of how? What's it about?
So a lot of people always ask like, who am I? What am I doing? What is Noble Nation? So I'm actually getting a bunch of my fighters to come up.
Nice.
Hopefully the one from Florida can fly up. I doubt the one from LA is coming out, but hopefully I have about 3 or 4 of them up here.
Okay.
To have their belts so they can actually meet these people that they always see in my photos and
absolutely.
fights that I'm promoting. And I'm going to have some gear there
Nice.
that people could buy.
Nice.
You don't have to, but you probably should because it's awesome. And
Nice.
It's really nice quality, and the logo is incredible, and all of that. All of that. But,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of like some lady described it as a trunk show, a trunk something.
Okay.
I don't know where that term comes from.
Yeah.
But it's like pretty much like an open house deal about Noble Nation. Come in, buy some stuff, take some photos. I'll have a backdrop in there with a photographer. So
Nice.
if you want to grab one of the fighters' belts, you can kind of pose like you had
Oh, that's
it.
cool.
awesome.
But
That's Goose's dream, man. He always wanted to
Hold that Hulk Hogan belt.
hold the belt.
I'm not gonna lie, that might just, you know what I mean. Can we put two, like one on each shoulder?
I mean,
Show off.
one of,
There you
the
go.
Muay Thai guy I got, he's actually in Thailand. Shout out to him. His name is the Palestinian Golden Boy, PGB. I had to shorten it for when he came to Noble
Yeah,
Nation.
that's a lot.
We're just gonna call you PGB today. And he's over in Thailand. He just want to fight there. He'll be coming back, and then he'll be going out to Chile to fight right away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I was like, hey, if you got a picture with a belt, take a picture with your belt and like send it to me so I could post it saying like you're now a part of this thing. Well, apparently when I said a belt, he had like 15. So I was like, what?
Wow.
It's an entire wall full of belts and he's in front of it. I was like, which one's yours? He's like, all of them.
Oh man, that's dope though.
Yeah. You never know who can fight. That's one thing also I learned about this is like mind your P's and Q's and keep to yourself because you don't know who's a killer. A lot of these guys, the one from Orlando, his name's Bam Bam. You remember the Flintstones? Remember Bam Bam?
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's
club?
why they call him Bam Bam. And boys, he's strong. That boy can fight. But I would look at these guys like, man, you don't get out of my face.
Right.
Then seeing the things that they have done, I'm like, you know what? Never mind.
That's awesome. Do you have like, I'm just thinking, what products are you thinking? Because I saw you have gloves. All right. Do you have gloves? Or is that just like a kind of you slapped your logo on it?
The first pair I got manufactured. The second pair I was like, I can figure out how to do this, and I tried to do it myself. But I'll probably just get those manufactured. But do I sell gloves? No, but like my fighters wanted them.
Okay.
I would do it. This is where things get muddy, is because I tend to do custom things for my fighters.
Okay.
That I normally wouldn't sell, just because if they're gonna be punching on the bag, I want them to see the Noble Nation logo versus women's.
And then everybody wants what
Then
they have
everyone
on though.
wants
Yeah,
it.
you're right.
It's the worst. It's like I make a one of a kind. Every time I make a one of a kind, I should just remember this. Every time I make a one of a kind, it's that item that people want.
Yes.
Like I made this thing right here. This is like a Walmart jogger sweatsuit or whatever. Just, cut it, sewed it, stamped it, and just made it for myself. Didn't think of selling it at all.
Yeah.
And apparently everybody and their grandma wants one. And I'm geez. Thank you. I didn't think about that.
Right.
So, no, I don't make gloves, and I don't make the MMA gloves either. I don't make a lot of things at the moment, but I will get like 1s or 2s or 3s made.
Yeah, but what you do make is this. I want you to explain it. Rash guards, or it almost looks like Under Armour. Like long johns.
Yeah.
But in this specific material.
It's so funny how we use Under Armour as like the name
This
for
material.
what it is.
Yeah.
Well, Under Armour, watch your back. We coming for you.
But
it's a rash guard is just like a compression top. Long sleeve, I guess Under Armour is the best way to describe it because they did take over the game with it.
Big time.
And like grapplers like to use it a lot, so there's no like chafing between them, the ground, the sweat, and all that stuff. I believe.
And ringworm.
Oh yes, and ringworm and all the other mat diseases you can get.
I just remember growing up when the wrestlers at our high school. It was like that. That was it. It's like you had to mop these mats. The coach, the coach was like anal about this stuff. It would drive him crazy. But a couple kids still got it, but they blamed the other schools that they played in anyway.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. But it is kind of gross if you think about it. Dude's other man's sweat, you're just sliding right on.
I think if you watch the UFC fights, you see like the big things of blood on the mat.
Yeah,
and they're just like somebody's face is pressed up against it. I'm like, bruh, as savage as I want to be, like that's not sanitary
At all.
That's scheming. Yeah. You turn a tough dude into like a little scary dude real quick.
I'm like, oh God, no. They're like spitting in the octagon too. They can't help it.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
Slobber all over and
just stepped in someone's loogie. Like I quit. Timeout. Pause. Can we mop the octagon?
Mop it.
But I think the material is like a certain material that absorbs all that stuff too.
Yeah, it dries quickly.
Yeah.
So like cotton, like it gets soaking wet and it won't dry. Like it'll be wet for hours on end. When like even something like this, it's usually just polyester is what it really is, the material.
Yeah.
Once it gets wet, if wind goes through it, it dries really quickly.
Gotcha. Now you post a lot of positivity on social media.
try.
Yeah. Is personal development something in, part of your armor, or is that just something you just naturally try to do?
No, that's extremely important to me.
Yeah.
Like when I told you I talk to my fighters, like I talk to them outside of the brand.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I understand what it's like to, not to compare fighting to tennis,
Sure.
as a tennis pro, but again, you're out there by yourself. And when you're in a position when you're by yourself a lot, you do start to question yourself and your capabilities and where's your head at. And yeah, self-development is extremely important. My friends, they would all tell you like, yeah, Julius is probably on one of those, motivational
Yeah.
springs right now. Because
Right.
it goes up and down. I'm not always like, I can do this.
Yeah, for sure.
This is great. I can,
Yeah.
anything put before me. No, there's days when it's like, man, shut the door.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Don't call me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's extremely important. I love listening to those morning motivational things.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys listen to it.
Yeah, definitely.
You do it.
Yeah. So, what have you brought? I'm curious. I'm fascinated actually with your background in tennis. What have you brought from the tennis world into Noble Nation? What have you used? Is it like a mental toughness? Is it a strategy? Is it, you mentioned a little bit about standing there alone by yourself, kind of like in the face of doubt. What do you see yourself as a professional tennis player bringing to your brand, your business, your team?
I think one of the hardest things that we do, or what we're even reaching at here, is like the whole self-doubt, when you start to question your own worth, or
Yeah.
are you good enough? It's kind of this underlying statement for everything. Am I good enough? That's why I feel this way. I know on a tennis court that I play at a certain level, and when I'm playing a player that's beating me and I'm not playing at that level, I kind of feel like, oh God. Like you get angry enough where you want to break the racket and walk off the court, like he doesn't deserve to beat me.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to sit yourself down and separate yourself and go, you know what? I got to figure it out.
Yeah.
I got to figure this out. And I think that's what I kind of brought to the brand, is like the days when I wanted to quit or stop the brand, I go, you got to figure it out. Like, I don't know. I went to school for business, but I don't remember everything that I learned sitting in class.
For sure.
And yeah, it's kind of like I studied to learn for the test, just to get by, to get the degree. But did I actually know what I was learning too heavily? No.
Right.
So I kind of had to teach myself that whole figure it out.
Yeah.
You don't know, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm losing, yeah, maybe my force and my brute athleticism isn't working. But
Yeah.
I got to be craftier at that point.
Yeah.
I got to win ugly. There's
Mhm.
a tennis book out there. It's called Winning Ugly. And
I
like
love
that
it.
title stayed with me. It's like, you know what? This isn't the path you thought, or it's not as smooth as you would like it to be. But, winning is winning. And sometimes it's going to be ugly. You
Yeah.
don't win by a knockout in MMA all the time. Sometimes you get dropped 2 or 3 times. Like TJ Dillashaw versus Garbrandt, the first fight.
Yeah.
He got dropped.
Yeah.
He came back and he ended up winning.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. So while we're kind of getting set up, we had a conversation about these Funko Pop little action figure collectible toy things.
Vinyl
And-
figures.
Yeah, and we're talking about having 2 personalities, or just being a person that's kind of split in a healthy, balanced way. And I started to talk to you about, because I was like, I just got Clark Kent because of that same exact reason.
Yeah.
When you are a tennis coach, is that like something that everyone knows about you, that you also own your own business in, mixed martial arts or combat gear? Is that something that you share, or is it kind of like if they find out, they find out? Like, how do you divide, or how do you split the two? Because they're 2 totally different things.
Yeah. Well, the world's kind of started to mesh for me. Funny thing is, I actually met my friend Jose that kind of got me more active into the whole thing at the tennis club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like a personal fitness trainer, but he's like the head of all the trainers.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
like where we met. But the way I keep them separate is it's getting more and more difficult. Like, I didn't go in telling them like, hey, this is my brand, this is what I do,
Yeah.
But after so many, like, I didn't mean to look so gaudy today with the logo
Sure.
everywhere, but pretty much everything I own is the logo.
Yeah.
So people now ask me, is that a fraternity, or is that a
Yeah.
such and such? And
Yeah.
like questions come out. So then I'll
Yeah.
answer those. But I don't go around telling people, hey, this is me. I got this brand. I actually sat down at a spot on Main Street over there, and somebody was talking about Noble Nation right beside me. Had no clue that I was the guy that
Wow.
that
Behind
did
it all, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't pop up and go, oh yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Because at the kombucha shop they had a drink in there called Noble Nation. We did a thing because they're Noble Earth and
Noble
we're
Earth,
Noble
yeah.
Nation.
Okay.
So the drink was supposed to be called the Nobility, TEA.
Oh, okay.
You get it because
I
it
got
is
it.
T.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that. He just gave us the whole name of it.
Wow.
So as I'm sitting there, they're like, oh, I really love this Noble Nation. I wonder what it means. Where did it come from? And they're just saying all this, and someone else is trying to interject, like the person behind the bar is trying to interject what it is.
Yeah.
But they don't even have a clue that I'm the person that did the whole
That's
thing. So I
awesome.
kind of just sat there like a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's better that I just,
Absolutely.
do that.
That's cool. So are you looking to well, first of all, two questions. When did Noble Nation start, or Noble Natives? When did the idea and you start printing kind of your own apparel? And the other thing is that the goal to kind of collaborate with other local businesses, or that just so happened?
That just so happened. That was another thing that was organic. Funny, the kombucha shop. Get it? But that was another organic happening where I was just like, yeah, let's go with it. Like, that guy's really cool, really down to earth.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Everyone kept telling me to change my name because his name has Noble in it as well, and people would get it confused. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the total opposite and do a collaboration with the guy.
Yeah.
So we kind of went and did that. But Noble Natives at the time started, which again was crazy process. Noble Natives started in 2016, the summer of 2016.
Okay.
And I mean, it was, I went through multiple names, multiple versions of the logo at that point. Like, things were just changing all the time.
Yeah.
Quickly. Now I'm a little bit more rooted in it, but yeah, I mean, I guess the future with Noble Nation, I just see stores. I see lots of stores. When I look out and I see like athletes or people on the court or training, you see these fighters. If you follow them on social media or Instagram, you'll see they're wearing like Virus or certain brands, and I'm like, that can be me.
Okay,
that's
okay,
going, like that's going to be me.
Yeah.
Where like people look out and we think Under Armour, we think that. I'm like, wait till I get my hands on the right amount of money and I can fool with the technology in some garments. I'm like, I'm gonna have to revolutionize something.
That's awesome.
So what's your favorite part about being an entrepreneur or about owning your own business or logo? I know the gratifying things we did talk about, other people mentioning you or talking about your business without them. I think that has to be one of the best things ever, right? We talked about this when we do a lot of dream building. Imagine like one of being wildly successful, but like the world really doesn't know you. You ever watch Impractical Jokers and you're watching them, you're like, how do people not know them by now?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what a cool way to like go out. Like, you're living your dream job and still not many people know you. It's like, that got to be one of the coolest things ever. What's your favorite part? Because being an entrepreneur and being the shot caller, so to speak, do you find that? Is there freedom in making the decisions? Is there excitement behind that?
Yes, my favorite part is I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur of some sort.
Yeah.
And I always knew that art would be attached to it.
Okay.
So the two things that I'm probably most addicted to, I shouldn't use that term, but addicted to, is probably art and like sports.
Okay.
Right? Like those things. And art, not just in drawing, but art in general.
Yeah.
In sports. So it's kind of cool that I can combine the two and be designing something that is going on to something being used for athletics or training. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think that's something I'm learning to admit is when I don't know where things are headed or where they're going exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say I don't know and put my seatbelt on.
Sure. I like it. I like it.
Go for the ride.
Thus far, what has been your best experience or most memorable experience with Noble Nation? And I'll give you kind of like an example. You kind of alluded to it when you went to like a family function and a couple of your cousins or whatever it was came up to you and started asking you questions and kind of saw you as some level of like guru in this area, and because they want to start their own stuff. I know for me, we were talking probably like 2 years ago. We walked into a cookout, and my one aunt, who's, well in her 50s, which isn't old by any means, but I didn't think she followed or listened to anything I was doing.
Yeah.
And she started talking about the podcast, and it blew my mind. She told me she listens to the podcast. I never knew.
Yeah.
She's not on, she has a name on Facebook and social media in that sense, but she doesn't post anything.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
just,
yeah.
like the voyeur, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And that was like a defining moment, like, yo, people are watching and listening, and it's in the craziest way. And then for the Blessed Lifestyle brand, the same thing happened. All of a sudden, I seen my dad's brother and his wife, so my aunt and uncle, my godparents, both of them wearing a Blessed t-shirt, and they shot it from Puerto Rico, and they just posted it up. And they did it like nothing. They didn't tell me they bought it. They didn't, nothing.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those moments where it gives you chills.
Yeah.
You're like, yo, like it kind of full circles everything.
Yeah, you never know who's watching, and that's something that gets really muddy nowadays with social media.
Yeah.
Is because when you don't get the like, or you don't get the follow, or you don't get, the
true.
share, all of
It's
a
true.
sudden you think no one's seeing it.
Because that's your traction.
But yeah, because that's how I know you seen
Yes.
it. And now it's strange. Like, I'll go back to where I'm from Coatesville.
Yeah.
Shout out Coatesville.
Yeah.
But I'll go back to Coatesville, and someone I grew up in high school with or something see me and go, hey, what's up? How's that brand going? I'm like,
Yeah.
how you
So
even
you
know
do
about
know
this?
about
Yeah.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't share, or
Yeah.
you even in the group.
Yeah.
So yeah, you never know who's watching. But one of those moments where it was like, like, okay, this is it. It probably had to be. I had a few of them actually, but it definitely. I gotta credit to the first time when I went to that event and the guy walked out with his shirt, like. And not only did that happen,
that's a beast move right there.
yeah. Not only did that happen, he knocked the guy out in 18 seconds.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah. It does not get any better
This
than that.
video's gone everywhere.
That's awesome. I got a
Yeah.
question. So, like, when do you pick your people to wear your logo, like your gear, or how do you get the fighters?
Oh, that's a good question. All right, so as I said, I never really went out looking for fighters. The first guy kind of came in, and I was actually told, like, this guy got a huge fight coming up. Don't talk to him. Kind of like stay away from him.
Yeah.
And me being me is like, yeah, sure, whatever you say. And then, he left the room, and I was like, I don't know who he think he talking to. I was like, hey, what's up, buddy? How are you? Good? And then, like, we start talking, and that's kind of like he reached out to me in that moment, was like, yeah, I'll wear the shirt, Then he brought up a friend. And he was like, hey, you got a shirt for my friend? He'll wear it out. He's fighting in that same event.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh, I'm getting pretty good at this, right? Even though it wasn't me. And then I go on Instagram, and I'm just watching MMA people, like, knocking people out. And I see this guy knock out this is contradictory sounding. I see this guy knock out another guy really quickly. Then he jumps up on the cage, and he's like, my God. And he's like, first thing he did was, like, praise God.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I got to message this dude.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
messaged him, and I didn't think he was going to write back. I was just doing it to say that I took a good step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Like, just did it to do it. And he messaged back immediately, thank you. He's like, yeah, I'll definitely be down with the brand. A couple months later, he flew up and stayed with me for the weekend and, trained up here a little bit.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
cool.
and I was like, what? This is getting bigger than me really fast.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta, again, put the seatbelt on and get ready for this
Yeah.
ride.
I like it. One thing I do want to commend you on is something you recently posted. And again, we're recent friends, so I don't know how long, if this is something new you've been doing or something you've been doing, is you posted up kind of like the brackets of the main this event that was happening. I think it was UFC. I forget. And you basically picked your winners.
Yeah.
And then you asked, the nation to kind of pick theirs or, join in and,
Yeah.
you're doing like a little bit of giveaways if someone guessed more than you. I thought that
Yeah.
was really engaging and it was clever. I don't know how, I can apply such a tactic, but that was, in my mind, that was like a level of brilliance there that I was like, that's, because you're taking it. Sometimes how obnoxious can we be with throwing the logos in people's faces, right?
Yeah.
But now you're kind of like bringing them in because it's
Yeah.
more of the lifestyle thing. And now I feel like that is where the organic empire building is.
Yeah, I got to give credit to a lot of people. Sometimes people come like in your path,
Yeah.
like unknowingly to you, and they start to guide and help you.
Yeah.
So I got to give credit to my friend Kyle.
Okay.
He actually owns like a vinyl store in like Levittown area. That's where I get all my vinyl from.
Okay.
But I'll go in there and
But
he'll
shout him out. What's his company called?
Oh, Annie Up Graphic Supply.
Annie Up Graphic Supply.
Yeah, it's in Levittown on Emily Road. Go check him out.
Oh yeah, I'm right around the corner. Cool.
But yeah, like I'll go up there and I'll sit in like their little classroom and he'll let me sit in there on my computer during regular store hours work, and I'll just sit there and get work done.
Yeah.
And he'll come in and he'll ask questions to make sure I'm on the right page.
Yeah.
He was like, you need to start engaging these people. Like everything, because he's a fan of the UFC and stuff.
Sure.
So he's like, the stuff that we talk about, put it out there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
people don't want to listen to me. Why do you want to listen to me?
Right.
And he's like, you got to stop being so like, you have a business now.
Yeah.
Like I told you earlier, I'm very like to myself and
Introvert
quiet.
kind of?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
introverted. And he was like, you got to put that stuff out there. So I was like, you know what? I will. I'll put out one of those sheets of all the fighters and make my choices. Though I feel bad because like 9 out of 10 people I circle got knocked out that night. Yeah. If you're a fighter, just hope I don't circle you on the next one. But he told me to do that, and he's given me a lot of good advice, as many others have around me. So
Yeah.
I got to credit that to them. That wasn't my own genius.
Nice. All right, so before we wrap this up, I love to ask this question. It's one of my favorites, and it's very helpful for the folks listening. What's your recommendation to anyone trying to achieve their dream or start a business?
First you just got to take the leap.
Yeah.
You got to go for it. There's never going to be a perfect time. I'm a very calculated person.
Yeah.
Like if I'm around someone long enough, I could tell you what you're going to do before you do it in your response to my question.
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm on it like that. But there's not a perfect time for this ever. Like I didn't have enough money. I actually started this entire thing with like $25.
Yeah.
I bought a couple shirts from Walmart,
Yeah.
printed on them, really cheap prints. People
Yeah.
bought them, got more stuff. So I would say just jump in. Don't be reckless when you jump in. Don't go get a loan or put
Right.
yourself under.
Yeah.
But you just got to take the leap and also be realistic with yourself.
Yeah.
In the sense of knowing where you're strong and where you're weak at. There's certain areas I know that I'm not that strong with this, so I got to reach out for help.
Yeah.
It's not going to be just you. Being an entrepreneur, it makes it seem like it's just that one person.
Right.
That's a lie.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship it's a journey in itself, but it's a group. It is a
Absolutely.
a team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said. Yeah, I mean, without the team, I it's not to be cliche or whatever, the teamwork, makes the dream work, but it is true, because without the support around you, regardless,
Yeah.
even if they don't even buy anything, even if they're just cheering you on, like, hey, do it, go after it, it's those little things that is true. I think the entrepreneur is a mentality, and is a person who has that resolve, that wants something to happen and will do what it takes. However, it's not a journey by yourself. It can't be. It wouldn't even
Yeah.
make no sense, right? If without the people who's buying your stuff, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
We need people to keep us in check too. Like
Absolutely.
I told you, I had to learn to sit myself down and go, Julius, chill out. You acted out of emotion. I am a Scorpio to the T.
Yeah.
Like I am a cliche Scorpio. So
Yeah.
one thing that I'll do is when a negative quality pops up, I'll pick up the phone, especially after, putting someone in their place, and I'll call them back and go, you know what? I was completely wrong.
Yeah.
That was wrong of me.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that's something I learned in time to carry into my business. Like,
Yeah.
sit yourself down, Julius. You wrong. That wasn't right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's something that I
Absolutely.
think we need to all develop.
Absolutely. All right, so there you have it. We're going to wrap this bad boy up with quotes, and the first one is by Hope Hicks. There is no substitute for hard work. Never give up, never stop believing, never stop fighting. And the second one is by Anderson Silva. Life is about how much you can take and keep fighting, how much you can suffer and keep moving forward. So there you have it, folks. Noble Nation. In this episode, we have special guest Julius Twyman, owner of Noble Nation. We cover topics that range from entrepreneurship, active/combat gear, the MMA industry, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Hope Hicks and Anderson Silva. Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success, available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, jimmyleevelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@jimmyleevelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.